Watercolor is an amazing medium. Using water and paint, you can make amazing pieces like this. But for some reasons, your pieces are turning out like this. This was me last year, and I'm going to show you how to get from here to here by fixing these 5 mistakes. With watercolor, there's so many options out there when it comes to paint, brushes, and paper that it can get confusing. Probably the most important of these supplies is your paper. There are a lot of types of papers out there. Sketch, tracing, mixed media, but what you want to get is watercolor paper. Other papers are not made to take in water well, and it will warp when used with watercolor. And while mixed media says it can take watercolor paints, it's not the best option for bigger projects. Another supply that can really confuse you is what kind of brushes to use. Brushes can be a bit more forgiving when used for different mediums, but it is best to get the ones dedicated to watercolor. These are made with finer hair and is made for a more delicate touch. Acrylic and oil brushes are coarser and will not adhere too well with something as light as watercolor paints. Also, don't settle for the cheap bulk pack for kids paint brushes. They will let you paint, but you won't have any control over the movement. Lastly, your paints. You want beautiful, vibrant color for your pieces, rich in pigment, and you will not get that from those dollar store watercolor paints. Do not get these. It's so watery and the paint is barely there, so you must put on more, and that is a waste. Cheap brands will be used up more quickly and you will buy more and continue the cycle for paints that are not going to do you any favors. Instead, put the money into better paints. For an in-depth guide on supplies, check out part 1 of my beginner's guide to watercolor that will answer all your questions and will help you create beautiful watercolor paintings. When starting out trying to learn how to paint, it's easy to just jump straight into large projects. When we get something like an 8x11 size paper, we tend to try to fill that page in that size with one thing. You do not want to do this starting out, mainly because you have not trained your eyes or your hands to adjust accordingly. Start small. Items, simple landscapes, and people can be easier to draw at a smaller scale. As you do this over and over, your eyes and your hands will be able to make these details at a bigger scale and bigger as you practice more and more. Something like a small art journal or cutting up your big sketchbook into smaller pages will help you in this area. Now, it's not a bad thing to paint from the imagination. It's a pleasant exercise, especially when doodling. However, if you want to paint something specific, a car, a person, a building, or that specific hillside you see every day you go to work, you need to have references. Reference is not cheating. It is a tool that helps you visualize your art clearly and break it down to simpler shapes and see how colors interact with each other. Make use of those platforms like Instagram and Pinterest, and if you can't find something so specific to you, take pictures of places around you that inspire you. This method is a tool you should use and it will help you on your art journey. This will also help you understand anatomy, architecture, and nature a lot better. This mistake happens to everyone starting out. Water is essential for this medium. It's in the name, but too much or too little can mess up your work. You want to avoid puddles from too much water like this, and scratches from not enough water like this. For now at least, they can be useful techniques when you have a better understanding of watercolor. What helps us to determine how much we have on our brush, you dab it on a paper towel and can tell how much or how little you have on your brush. If puddles still occur, dry your brush and gently wipe at the puddle area. Be careful though, it will lift the paint. For scratches, add water to your brush and gently smooth it out. You will have to make several adjustments. You've probably heard the saying, practice makes perfect. It doesn't. If I practice the wrong way to do something 100 times, I won't improve any. When you start learning watercolor, immerse yourself in beginner guides, content for new painters, and tutorials from multiple perspectives and skill levels. Once you decide what you want to paint, focus on learning multiple forms for that item. For example, if I want to paint florals, I would watch tutorials and then pick the flowers I want to use in my piece and practice each one. Once I felt comfortable with my components, I would paint my floral arrangement and then assess what I can improve. Ultimately, having a plan and goals for your practice will help you improve and keep you from staying in a creative rut over a long period of time. And those are the 5 mistakes in watercolor everyone goes through. But hopefully with this video, you'll fix them sooner rather than later and get to where you want to be. It does take time, it does take effort, and it takes practice. Enjoy the journey, and I'll see you next week.